for myself personally, like when I was a lot fatter, like a couple years ago, like it was my metabolism's fault that I was fat, or like it wasn't the fact that like, oh, I'm like eating all this shit food and not exercising. Like, I don't know, that's besides the point. Like, I was cursed from the get-go, and this problem is unavoidable, and I can't do anything about it. Like, that is such a fucking terrible mindset to have. That's a problem mindset, right? You're not thinking about the solution. You're thinking about how difficult the problem is. And that's not a way to live. Like, you cannot live like that and expect to be successful, because you're always focused on the problem, not how you're gonna fucking solve it. Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Better Than Yesterday show. My name is Eric, and as always, I'm gonna be your host. And today I want to talk to you guys about actually a news story that I saw a couple weeks ago that struck a chord pretty near and dear to my own heart, and just, you know, a line of thinking along those lines that it spurred. But before that, as always, if you enjoy the show, if it provides you any value, makes you think a certain way, please make sure to share it on your social media or with a friend, because that is the only way I grow, and I want to get this message out to as many people as possible. So that being said, if you enjoy the show, make sure to share it. Now, what I want to start off with is just the news story that I heard about that actually really upset me, because this is something that I identify with pretty heavily. So I saw maybe a couple weeks ago, I think it was actually when I was at my friend's graduation party, that I heard about it, and then I looked it up more and, you know, found it to be true. So I went to Bloomsburg University, and Bloomsburg University is a state school. It's in like central Pennsylvania, you know, whatever. And I joined a fraternity there my freshman year, and I made a really good connection with a lot of the guys in there, really close with a lot of them still. Like, they're my best friends. Like, they've been my best friends, you know what I mean, for the past 5-6 years. And I saw Bloomsburg's actually canceling all of Greek life. So something that has been around in Bloomsburg, mind you, for 50 plus years, like pretty sure since the beginning of Bloomsburg, if not the beginning, very close to the beginning. Over 50 years, my fraternity, you know, has been around Bloomsburg, and, you know, with a couple other fraternities, and it's grown since then, right? So this is an institution that's been around for 50 plus years. And we won't get into the reason that they shut down Greek life, but I'll just leave it at the fact that there was an incident with a student at a party, and it wasn't good, right? Like, it, you know, shouldn't have happened. Obviously, should have been avoided. You know, bad things happen. But I guess what I want to say on this matter is, this almost seems like Bloomsburg finding a scapegoat for the rise of these incidents that are happening, because, you know, in the past, I don't know, since I started at Bloomsburg, really, they've seen sort of an uptick in like the incidents and the dumb shit that students are, you know, doing on a day-to-day basis that get, you know, put them under the spotlight and get them in trouble, right? And it just frustrates me, because it seems like Bloomsburg is using Greek life as almost a scapegoat for these fuck-ups and these incidents, right? And Greek life has been around for 50 plus years before, you know, this rise in incidents. So, like, I guess what frustrates me is they don't want to talk about what they may have done wrong, right? They don't want to talk about the fact that their acceptance rate in the past 10 years, so in 2010, it was around like 64%. 2020, it's like 86%. So, like, just think about that. When you start being less selective about the types of people you're letting into your school, and I'm not throwing shade at anybody, it's just a matter of fact. When you're less selective about that, you don't expect to maybe see a couple more incidents with those students that you may not have let in, because they may not be the best crowd of people. You know, again, not being critical, just saying that may be something you want to expect. But they don't want to talk about that, right? All they want to talk about, they want to point the finger and they want to say, oh, that was the problem, we handled it, it wasn't our fault, it was Greek life's fault. So they just cancel that completely. And okay, so off the subject of Bloomsburg now, that's sort of where this line of thought spurred from, but I do want to talk about it in the broader sense of, how you can apply this and how I can apply this to my own life. And that is, like, there is no scapegoat for the fuck ups that you have made. So, like, when you have a problem, like when an issue faces you, whatever that may be, like, there may be a lot of people to blame, right? Like, it may not be all your fault, but the fact of the matter is, and I've said this before, is that there's a difference between fault and responsibility. And you need to take responsibility for the problems in your life and deal with them. You don't need to worry about finger pointing. Finger pointing doesn't get you anywhere. All it does is make it a little easier on your ego, because you at least get to justify to your ego, oh, it wasn't my fault. This problem that I have, it was unavoidable, which is not the case, right? Like, anyone that solves their fucking problems knows that even if it's not your fault, you got to take action to fix it. It's not just going to fix itself. And so, like, back to the Bloomsburg subject real quick. It's like, Greek life has been around for 50 years before any of these problems started, and you're going to cancel that because of a rise in student incidents. And, the incident that put the nail in the coffin, albeit was an incident, at a Greek life event or whatever, but, like, still, you act like kids aren't gonna fucking party. Like, you act like kids aren't going to find another way to get into trouble and, do the dumb shit that kids do, college students do. And, like, think about that in the sense of your own life. Okay, now back off the subject. Like, I know for myself personally, like, when I was a lot fatter, like a couple years ago, like, it was my metabolism's fault that I was fat. Or, like, it wasn't the fact that, like, oh, I'm, like, eating all this shit food and not exercising. Like, I don't know, that's besides the point. Like, I was cursed from the get-go, and this problem is unavoidable, and I can't do anything about it. Like, that is such a fucking terrible mindset to have. That's a problem mindset, right? You're not thinking about the solution. You're thinking about how difficult the problem is. And that's not a way to live. Like, you cannot live like that and expect to be successful, because you're always focused on the problem, not how you're going to fucking solve it. So, guys, I'm going to keep this one short today. That's all I got for you, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. I will talk to y'all next week. Own your fucking problems. See ya.